We are looking at IV push meds. IV push meds are given with a syringe through the IV tubing. Let's take a look at the first example. For this IV push med, the order is 150 milligrams. We have available 250 milligrams per 5 milliliters, and the literature tells us that the infusion should not exceed 50 milligrams per minute. Our first question is how much we should prepare. This is a basic dosing question, and it can be done by proportion, by nursing formula, or by dimensional analysis. I'll demonstrate dimensional analysis. Because our order is 150 milligrams, I'll start with that. I'll put that over 1 because we are not given a specific time at this point. I'll multiply this by the strength that's available, putting the 250 milligrams on the bottom of the fraction so that the milligram label cancels, and putting the 5 milliliters on the top of my fraction as those two numbers are together as the dosage strength. Bringing up my calculator, I'll take 150 times 5 and divide that answer by 250. And from that, I get 3. So how much should I prepare? I should prepare 3 milliliters. Second question is how much time is needed. For the time, I'm going to focus on this rate, 50 milligrams per minute. This rate is in milligrams, so I want to go back to the order, which is also in milligrams. I'll start with the order again, 150 milligrams over 1. And this time I'll multiply by the rate that's given, so 50 milligrams on the bottom, 1 minute on the top, milligrams cancels, and I'm ready to do the math because that will give me an answer in minutes. So I go to my calculator, 150 divided by 50, and I come up with 3. However, this time my label is minutes, so 3 minutes for this particular infusion. I'm not asked, but if I were, how many milliliters per minute? 3 milliliters over 3 minutes. I can see that that reduces to 1 milliliter per minute. Let's take a look at a second example, just to go through the process again. A few more questions here, but same basic idea. First thing that I see is the order is 5 milligrams. It's an IV push. I see that's available is 10 milligrams per milliliter, so that's the strength of my med. The literature says that it should be diluted in at least 10 milliliters, so keep that in mind, and administered at a rate of 1 milligram or fraction thereof per minute. So now I can focus on my questions, and I'll use the different pieces of information at different times. How much medication will you need? Well, my order of medication is 5 milligrams. I'm going to set this up with dimensional analysis again, but you could use the nursing formula or a proportion if you desired to. I want to convert this to milliliters, and I have the strength of my med, which I underlined, so I put 10 milligrams on the bottom, and I put 1 milliliter on top, and that way my milligrams will cancel out. And I can do the math here in my head, but I'll pull up my calculator just to show you. So I'd have 5 divided by 10, and that's going to give me 0.5. So this is going to equal 0.5, 1/2 milliliter. So the next question, what is the minimum amount of diluent you should add? So I go up here and I have it underlined, should be diluted in at least 10 milliliters. So the minimum amount, just a reading question, is 10 milliliters. Third question, what is the time required for this infusion? So I want to look at what I have for time, and it says 1 milligram or fraction thereof per minute. So I'm going to set this up. 5 milligrams is my ordered amount. Put it over 1 as a placeholder. and it tells me 1 milligram, put that on the bottom so that it cancels, or fraction thereof per every 1 minute. And again, I can do the math in my head here. This is going to come out to be 5 minutes. Now, it asks me, what is the milliliter per 15-second rate? We talked about the rate in the previous question, and we're going to start there. So, we have in our syringe 0.5 milliliters of the med combined with 10 milliliters of the diluent. So our total volume is 10.5 milliliters. And we're supposed to administer that over 5 minutes. So doing this will give me my milliliter per minute rate. Doesn't quite answer this question, but it will help me. So I'm going to go to my calculator and type 10.5 divided by 5, and this gives me 2.1. So my milliliter per minute rate is 2.1 milliliters per 1 minute. Now I'm going to use some logic and reasoning before I do any more math. This asks me how many milliliters in 15 seconds. Well, if I think about 15 seconds times what would equal 1 minute? Well, 15 seconds, that's a fourth of a minute. So if I multiplied 15 seconds times 4, I'd have 60 seconds or 1 minute. So if I'm supposed to give 2.1 milliliters every 1 minute, I would give 1/4 of that in 15 seconds. See the 4? So I'd only give 1/4 of this. So 1/4, that's the idea of division, so I'm going to take this and divide it by 4. Because if I divide it into 4 parts, one of those 4 parts should be given in 15 seconds. So I'll take my calculator, take this answer, and divide it by 4, because I want to give 1/4 of it in 15 seconds. And so I should end up giving about 0.525 milliliters every 15 seconds. 0.525 milliliters, and we're going to be giving that every 15 seconds. Now, we probably cannot measure this accurately with any syringe. This is giving us a good approximation for the rate. So we would measure about a 0.5 milliliter every 15 seconds. And if we're going right about a 0.5 milliliter every 15 seconds, we're going to give approximately 2.1 milliliters in a minute, and we'll take approximately 5 minutes to give this infusion.